mentioned, you've gotten so many wonderful nuggets so far today from these special guests, and love for you to share your comments, any questions that you have, because we will go back and answer those questions for you. Love to know what you have gotten out of it. And so I'm excited, last but not least, today, excited to welcome Char Stackle to the live stream. Welcome, Char.
Hi, Pamela. How are you?
I am good. I'm good.
Yay.
Yes.
How's your voice?
My voice so far so good.
Okay.
So good. We're gonna hop in, but before we do that, Char, I want to tell everyone a little bit more about you. Char, Charlene Stackle, she goes by Char, is a certified online business manager who helps women entrepreneurs streamline their operations so they can grow their revenue and reclaim their time. She's passionate about making business feel lighter and more profitable. And so who doesn't want that? We want our business with ease, and we want more profitability. So again, welcome, Shar. I'd love for you to share with us, how did you become an expert in this area? What led you to become a certified online business manager? And share your big why story with us.
Sure. Thanks, Pamela. I appreciate it. Um, I have been on the kind of the back end of online businesses for a while. I've worked with quite a different amount of industries. My heart ended up going kind of with photography industries because my sister was a photographer. And so I started supporting photographers and creatives. And so that's kind of where my little expertise niche is. However, what I found when working with creatives, visionaries, people who have great ideas, is that they would become overwhelmed with what they had. So a lot of the times what I was seeing, it was conversations around I have my creativity time and I might have the time to spend with my friends, family, all the fun things that I have, but I don't have the money. And or I have the money, but I never have the time to spend my creativity. And I realized that those all three should not be mutually exclusive. And after, and kind of just calling in what Stephanie just talked about of how getting a coach was super huge, because I ran into a spot where I was like, I don't know where I want to follow helping people because I was missing the money piece, right? So I was having the the creativity and the time, but I wasn't bringing in the money. And so I spent the money to unhired a coach and had that conversation with her. And she opened up my eyes after that. Some really great questions, pulling you outside of yourself and getting yourself out of the way, which um, was mentioned earlier too, is I realized I want to support other businesses, other business people, and help them realize that time, creativity, and that money can coexist. And here's the kicker, it all depends on your systems. It all depends on your back end. Like you can put all of that stuff into place and all of those three pieces will work for you. So that's my why, because I want to see businesses succeed. So that's my biggest thing, because a lot of photographers that I would work with and a lot of creatives and visionaries would do that, but not being able to figure out and navigate so that they can succeed in their business. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. And one of the things that I learned early on too in business, because when we start out as an entrepreneur, business owner, we
Mhm.
wear all of the hats, right? We don't have a choice. Maybe we create it because I remember when I was starting my practice, I was waiting to get my licensing from the state of California. So I
Mhm.
couldn't do business. I set up my website. I did my own website, did my own graphics, all of that stuff, not because I enjoyed it,
Mhm.
but because it was just me at the time, and also I needed to do it. But just because we know how to do something, and a lot of our entrepreneurs, we have experience, because I think you came from corporate America as
Yep.
well.
Yes, I
And so
did.
we have a lot of expertise in a lot of different areas. And just because we know how to do it doesn't mean that's the best use of our time. And so I'd love for you to talk about that a little bit. Also talk about, for those that may not know, because you had to educate me as well, the difference between an online business manager and a virtual assistant, and how you support your clients.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great question. Thanks, Pamela. A virtual assistant, I think most people understand what a virtual assistant or an executive assistant, even because they can be physical, is somebody that's there to be a task manager. You can call them in, say, hey, I'd like you to XYZ, build a website. That's might be a little outside of the scope of a virtual assistant, but things that send an email, things like that. You, as a CEO or business owner, would be saying, "Hey, this is what I would like you to do," blah blah blah, and then they just go out and execute it. An online business manager is somebody that's more like a strategic partner, somebody that you can go to and talk strategy with. You can go to and be uh, say, hey, I'm thinking about doing this in my business. What do you think? And how do we get there? Then that online business manager puts all the pieces into place to delegate out to a virtual assistant. So they're that middle person in between a CEO and a virtual assistant. You might call somebody them other things I've heard them. You can a little higher up would be like a COO or trying to think of it, like a general manager if you are a brick and mortar business. So somebody that you are got the vision, you are doing that. And if anybody's heard of EOS or there's a book named called Traction. There's another word out there called an integrator. They're the ones that get this stuff in place, make sure it happens where the CEO is the brains of the operation and the visionary. So yeah.
Mm. Wonderful. Now, our audience consists primarily of coaches, consultants, and
Mhm.
service providers.
Right.
And so just talk a little bit more about how you work with your clients, and when is it appropriate to bring in an online business manager?
Somebody that would be for coaches, consultants, when it's appropriate to bring in an online business manager is somebody that if it's you and you're bringing on, you've got your clients, and then you've also got your virtual assistant to do some of those tasking things, sending emails, social media, um, just outreach, customer service, those types of things, but you're still feeling the pinch. Maybe things are falling through the cracks. Maybe um, you're missing things on your calendar. Maybe you want to expand your offerings. Maybe you're thinking, okay, my one-on-one consulting is getting a little too big for me. Maybe it's time to move into a membership, and I don't think my VA can help me execute it. Maybe you're doing some major launches throughout the year. You could even bring somebody in as a fractional um, online business manager to help you with launches. You don't need to have them on as a retainer either. So there's a lot of different instances where you could bring in somebody to help you out.
Beautiful. I love that. I love that. And it is so important to have a team. When
Right.
you start making money in your business, it is important to have that team. And like you said, not like you need to bring the team on full time, and you may not even be um, at the stage where you're ready for that, but you do
Right.
want to be able to outsource. So probably the first thing is outsourcing maybe to a VA, making sure that you're outsourcing tasks that you shouldn't do, because in order to stay in our zone of genius, and maybe you can talk more about this, it's important to stay in our zone of genius and do the things that only we can do.
Yeah.
So just talk a little bit about more about that.
Yeah. So I have seen so many business owners kind of fall into that trap. You had mentioned, wearing all the hats. And I'll talk a little bit about, that creative field, like your vision, your creation, whether it is depending on whatever that creation is, that's where you thrive, right? That feeling. I've talked to photographers and they have mentioned that there's this feeling that you get, you just get energized from. Like we were talking about introverts, and you get your energy from kind of closing in and being by yourself, right? Well, there's those creatives that get that energy by creating and putting things together and just kind of in that realm. That's where you need to stay. And as soon as you get into admin, as soon as you get into customer service and emails, and oh my gosh, I need to send this out, and I've got to I got to get the word out and promote this. And that's when you get pulled out of it. And sure, yeah, that's part of doing business and part of that strategy, but you don't have to be there 90% of your day. Whereas it seems like a lot of business owners are in that admin. They're putting out the fires 90% of the day versus being in that creative zone, that genius zone that you had mentioned. Yeah.
Absolutely. And that can drain your energy like nothing
Hmm.
else. And I'm sure you can attest to that. I'm speaking from experience, that it certainly can drain, because if you're doing all this admin, then you don't have the time or the energy to do the things that really matter, like showing up, for speaking engagements, to
Right.
attract your potential clients, meeting with clients, because you don't have the capacity because you're doing all of this other stuff. So I think it's so important. Yeah, like you said, as soon as um, you start making money, look at what can you outsource. And you can, there are affordable VAs, and we had this conversation too about affordable VAs where you only hire them for a couple of hours,
Right.
hours a month, and that can sustain you, until you need that additional strategic planning, because you need that too.
Yeah.
And that's where you bring in Char.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
The strategic planning piece. I love
Yeah.
that. So tell us about your talk, the talk that you gave. You have a wonderful process.
Yeah. Yeah. So the talk I gave was expand your business power. And what it is it's my expand system. So it walks you through a system for your back end for all the things that you need in your business, and it will help you be able to scale. So a lot of times when we start our business, we just kind of like, okay, I need these things, I need these little pieces, but you start to build them over time. That I don't know about you, but I know that sometimes I look at my Google Drive and go, oh, I didn't realize I had this, right? I didn't realize I had this piece of content. I didn't realize I had this, that, and the other thing. But what that the expand blueprint does is it takes it gives you a chance to, and my talk gives you a chance to step back and look at where you're at in your business and where you can grow and actually scale and using the pieces that you have already.
Beautiful. And I actually I downloaded Char's um gift. I'm getting ahead of myself because the gift is also based on expand. So
Expands, yeah.
yes, the expand principle. So tell us about your awesome free gift, and then I will continue. I'll add my comment after.
Okay. Yeah, so the expand blueprint was the gift, and whereas the system is expand system. But basically it's the first, it's just a little bit of a um, idea of how to get through the expand system. So I always start with X and it's not E. I mean, we can do E for client experience, but for the experience part. But I always like to start with X. Since X marks the spot. Like, where are you at right now? And where do you see yourself going? So it's a lot of that visioning piece of it. It's like, where do I want to expand to? So that's where we kind of start with that expand. And then there's a couple other letters in there if you want me to go through it, or if not, that's fine too. But
Go ahead. You can go through it.
okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, so the next letter is a P, which stands for plan. Um, and the P is basically you want to look at your people, your processes, and your profit. So what are you planning for in those three areas? Your N is naming. So that's also kind of going through and naming all the things, all the pieces that you have, and what do you need to get to your plan. And then that last D, the is a D, is decide. So you want to look at your decisions. You want to look at, or you want to decide basically on, is there people you need to delegate to? Is there some things you need to delete? And that is kind of how to look at your business in a nice little nutshell. And that's what'll go through that expand blueprint. Will ask you all those questions.
Beautiful. I
Yeah.
love it. As I was saying earlier, I got ahead of myself. I actually downloaded it and it is a fabulous resource to help you to gain clarity and know what your next steps need to be.
Yeah.
If you are looking to systematize, right?
Right.
Systematize your business.
Mhm.
Beautiful. And I would love for you, those of you that are watching, whether if you're watching live or if you're watching the replay, if you have questions for Char, go ahead and put those in the comments. I would love for you to go ahead and do that because I know you have questions, and
Yeah.
she has an amazing message, and she is a wonderful resource as well. And so. Before I let you go, Shar, I would love to know, give us your final word
Mhm.
as to, what would you recommend that the women entrepreneurs do in order to move for as their next steps?
Okay, so for your next step, I would encourage you to think like a CEO and think about how you could um, step more into your creativity, to your vision, and really realize how your vision, your creativity can balance out with your profit and your time, and finding ways to support that. So if that's hiring out, if that is saying no, if that's reevaluating, those are it's really about taking that step back and looking at where am I now and how can I, because I know it's possible to balance all three of those legs of a business journey. So yeah.
Beautiful. I love that. And Thank you so much again for being part of the Women's Money Power Summit, lending your voice, your expertise, and elevating women entrepreneurs. I am so grateful uh, to have you here.
Thank you, Pamela.
Okay.
Thank you for this summit. It has been phenomenal, and you've had some great women on here. It's been great. Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome.